Hello guys, it is Modest Major here, bringing you some commentary over some Abandoned Capture the Flag gameplay. It is a 40-0, that is without a doubt my best score and unfriggin' believable. The first unfriggin' believable I've gotten on this game to date, which is pretty cool. Pretty random that it happens to be on Abandoned. Abandoned is not one of my favourite maps. Similar problem I have with other maps such as Complex and maps like that is too big of a emphasis on one power position, and that is something that I feel like Abandoned suffers from with Ring 3. I know some people could argue that Beach is kind of a power position of its own with a sniper rifle, but I find what most advanced teams tend to do is try and find a way to bring sniper up there, or let someone bring the sniper up to them and then kill them when they come up there with the sniper. But I don't see many teams trying to occupy Beach. Beach seems to be like the counter tactic a lot of the time, and the only really power position they can try and pull off, but Ring 3 is always the most beneficial, and you will see in this game there is always at least one team member controlling Ring 3, which is kind of integral to our win. And yeah, I think that's really why I won. I mean, as I say, Abandoned seems to go one of two ways for me. Getting Ring 3 controlled against lesser players, or not getting Ring 3 and getting crushed. It doesn't really seem to be much variety in the way of that, and I've always preferred maps that have the different power positions and the different, different ways of attacking things. But I want to go through why I think this team lost and why I think I managed to get the 40-0 and why I incurred no deaths. And I believe that is because the enemy team suffered from a problem which I like to call meat grinder syndrome, and that they were constantly stuck in a meat grinder. They were constantly trying to find ways to push up to Ring 3, and they didn't use much variety in their attempts to go up there, so they were stuck in a meat grinder, and I think it's something that a lot of players suffer from, especially lesser players. They get frustrated with their playstyle, and they get annoyed at the enemy team, and their frustration causes them to make mistakes. Their frustration causes them to want to find a way to kill them, but not using variety to do so. They constantly rush the same area, and their train of thought is that if I keep at it, if I keep going at it, and keep making these attempts, pushing up open ramp, eventually I will break them down and be able to kill them. It will happen eventually. It's just trial and error, and that is not a state of mind you want to get yourself into mid-game, because it's not going to happen that way. The best way in order to beat a team in which the enemy team is clearly stronger than you, clearly their aim and movement is better than you, the best way you want to try and counteract it if you're not the most advanced player, is by rushing from as many different angles as you physically can. If you constantly try to rush through purple, constantly try to rush through dark forest, and constantly rush up gold lift every so often as well, if you can coordinate your attacks so that you're all going from a certain angle and attacking the base, even if your aim or movement and strafing isn't as good as possible, chances are you are going to disorientate one enemy, because there will be too many focal points to concentrate on, too many lines of sight, and they will get overwhelmed. If you're constantly just rushing up Ring 3, main ramp, they're going to know what to do. They're going to have the height advantage, and you're probably going to get screwed. Whereas if you can separate your attacks, coordinate them, to the point that, I'm having to think, are they attacking from purple or are they attacking from blue right now? Where are they even coming from? Oh, now they're below me in Ring 2. How did he get in Ring 2? And stuff like that. If you can make that happen, then even if you're not the strongest of players, you can potentially disorientate. And that's what you want to do, because eventually one of the players, even if they're strong players, there's a chance that you're going to catch them off guard. There's a chance you're going to do something that they're not expecting. Because really, that is where, when a stronger team is playing you, what their biggest team, what a strongest team's biggest weakness can be, is underestimating the enemy players. Is thinking, they're not going to do that. They wouldn't rush through purple. Their strategy isn't good enough. They're going to keep going main ramp. I'm not even going to, check my sixes right now. Because this team is obviously too stupid. And then they let their guard down, and what you want to do is flank from a route that they're not expecting. For example, if you rushed up top gold, and then through railgun or whatever, and then jumped across to Ring 3, players aren't going to expect that. And in this simple, strategy of just attempting different movement paths, chances are you'll eventually pull off something. You can use trial and error. Like I said at the beginning, don't use trial and error. Use trial and error, but in different, positions. Just trying the same area again and again isn't going to work. And I know you're frustrated, but if you really want to beat them, what you want to do is just try and catch them off guard, not give them exactly what they want. which is something that is really prevalent in Abandon. I'm sure you've seen teams do it all the time. Now, moving on to the second part of my topic. I mean, this is quite a long commentary, so this gives me a chance to talk about something else. And that is positivity in Halo. You know, what my biggest positive, I think one of the biggest strengths in terms of what 343 have brought to the table in this Halo 4 offering. And I think what that really is, and what it comes down to, is continued developer support. 343 have done a job on console market. I think it's been done on the PC market, but to the console market it has not been done to the extent which this game has. Continued developer support in both patching, adding in new maps, adding in new Forge experiences, listening to the community, and attempting to communicate with us on a one-on-one basis and try and give us what we want without giving us too much. I think, quite frankly, they've done an incredible job, and continually throughout the playtime of this game, there's always been a sense of excitement within the community. There's always been a sense of, oh, what are they going to do next? There's going to be something on the horizon. We've always got brighter skies. And when Halo 4 first came out, the sales figures were pretty good. My initial worry was, well, they've sold what they wanted to sell. What if they don't want to push forward this game that much? You know, they're off of MLG. This game could game could just die out, and 343 could just concentrate on making Halo 5 the next good game. And I think what they did instead was they noticed that there were a few mistakes off of the launch of this game, and there were a few things that needed to be fixed, and they said, you know what, we want to give you guys the most polished experience we physically can, and we're not just going to leave you by the wayside. Because quite frankly, when this game first came out, I did not think it was particularly amazing. There was only 5 maps within the TDM circuit, 2 of which were Complex and Solace, which weren't maps I'm particularly fond of at all, to be honest. Even Abandon wasn't one of my favourite maps, and then you've got Adrift and Haven, which Adrift people are even starting to get sick of now. Haven seems to be the only one that everyone can kind of agree to some extent that it's a great map, at least for me anyway. So yeah, that whole experience was slightly frustrating. Then Big Team had a lot of problems on top of that, so you couldn't just say, oh, well, I'm going to play Big Team, because the vehicles had been nerfed pretty severely. But at the same time, they didn't just leave us and say, you know, oh, well, this is what you've been given, good luck with that, we're working on Halo 5. They said, nope, we're going to try and make this game as good as we physically can. We might make a few mistakes on the way, we might not add in the things that you want straight away, but eventually we will try and get this game sorted out to the extent you want. And I think in June the 4th or June the 3rd, I forget which date it's going to be, is where we're really going to see that come to fruition, where we're really going to see every single piece fall into place, and see that 343 are not leaving this game behind. They want this game to bring as much enjoyment to the player base as possible. And although it's beneficial for them, it is beneficial for 343 to do this, because they need this community support. If they went into Halo 5 and they left this game behind, people would be less likely to buy it, because they'd be like, well, you know what? Halo 4 was left in a bit of a state, and they didn't do anything to try and fix it. You know, the bolt shot was still overpowered, blah, 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 etc. So they've been able to give themselves a good reputation. And therefore, I think it is beneficial for both the consumers and 343 to do this. And I hope other developers look at what 343 have done and think, you know what, that's a pretty good idea. They've gained a lot of support. The fans are pretty supportive of it. And I hope also within our community we make a conscious decision to try and be supportive of the fact that they're making these improvements, these tweaks, trying to find ways to improve the game for us. Because we need to encourage other developers and future games, and for them to do it with Halo 5. Like, if Halo 5 doesn't come out as the strongest game, we want them to know that we have our support in helping to try and, you know, make it as good an experience as possible, and getting rid of any of the, you know, bugs, fixing any of the imbalances. Straight away, because we don't want to discourage people. I feel like people are kind of almost like discouraging 343 from making this plan, from making this strategy, because quite frankly a lot of players just don't even try the new patches that they put out. They don't even try the new Forge World Test playlist. The numbers have been pretty low recently, and I find that pretty damaging to the community. I really hope a lot of people come back when the 4-shot battle rifle comes back, so we can, you know, make the statement to 343 that we're happy that you are working on this game. We're happy that you are doing everything in your power to try and make this game as fun an experience as possible. I have been Modest Major. I hope you guys see where I'm coming from with this commentary, and peace out.